From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is U.S. Farm Report.
Welcome to U.S. Farm Report. I'm Tyne Morgan, and here's what we're working on for you over the next 60 minutes. USDA hits the market with its latest take on yield. We have complete analysis. A viral call for change is causing a shakeup among cherry growers.
It has created a mistrust amongst consumers about the tart cherry industry.
Our Farm Journal report has both sides, and it's a battle over price and trade.
I'm Andrew McCrae. Join me on American Countryside as we go to the home of America's first Olympic basketball team.
It's a basketball team that defied the odds during the Great Depression in American Countryside. And in John's world,
we're saying goodbye to an old friend.
U.S. Farm Report, brought to you by the dependable, long-lasting Chevy Silverado.
Now for the news that moved the markets this week, USDA answering the question of just how big is this year's corn crop. USDA's yield forecast coming in at the very top end of trade guesses at a whopping 175.1. That's a 7-bushel jump from July. And total production, that's forecast to be up 11% from last year at a record 15.2 billion bushels. Yes, I said 15. That's much higher than the average trade guess. Now looking at soybeans, USDA's yield estimate is 48.9, also higher than what the trade was thinking, and production is pegged at a record just over 4 billion bushels. That's a jump from both the July number and the trade guess. The European Union is investigating the potential merger of Dow and DuPont. The EU Antitrust Authority announcing this week it's exploring if the merger would reduce competition within seed and crop protection. These investigations are common in Brussels, but may result in the companies selling some of their assets. Meanwhile, Brazilian officials say GMO corn from the U.S. could help ease their tight domestic supplies. Brazil's agriculture ministry is seeking approval for U.S. GMO corn imports. That's as the country's livestock and poultry producers are facing rising prices and not enough feed. ProFarmer reporting Brazil's Biosafety Commission will meet next month to discuss possible approval, and they're under intense political pressure to get the measure passed. The process of impeaching former Brazilian President Dilma Rousseff, it's entering its final stage. Brazil's Senate voted Wednesday to move forward with trial, indicting her on charges of manipulating the budgets. The trial is expected to take place this month. All right, those are the headlines. Meteorologist Mike Hoffman joins us now with weather. Mike, Minnesota farmers, they just got hammered with downpours of rain this week. Any big systems next week?
Thanks, Tyne. I know it's either feast or famine, unfortunately, and that's typically the case. I don't see a good chance for getting any big rains across Minnesota, but I do see some chances in some of the drought areas of the southeast. We'll get to that in a second. You can see the drought has continued, and it's expanded westward into Mississippi. It's also been expanding from southern portions of New England into parts of western and northern Ohio. But let's go back a month. You can see it was already dry in the Black Hills area and westward, obviously California, and it was definitely dry in parts of the southeast. That's been slowly expanding, and the dryness from southern New England into Ohio has been slowly expanding as well, but most of the central and western Corn Belt not really having any big issues. Here's what goes on this week then. A big storm system. In fact, this is the remnants of that tropical-like system that was moving along the Gulf Coast last week. Looks like that rides up along this front. Exactly where that goes will put down some pretty heavy rains, and there's a very good chance the southern half of the Mississippi Valley into southeastern Texas. Still warm across most other areas. That northern system won't bring a lot of rain, but it'll have some scattered showers and storms. But again, that remnant system moving up through the Ohio River Valley could put down some big amounts of rain there. And this system coming into western Canada on Wednesday, by Friday, is pushing some cooler air into the northwest and northern plains. There could be some decent rains along this stationary front in the southeast. Otherwise, it's kind of hit and miss across most of the country. Back in our next half hour with a longer range outlook.
Thanks, Mike. Well, we laid out the numbers from the latest USDA report. So where do we go from here? Tommy Grossafi and Ted Seifert, they join me next.
How's it going? Hi. Today we're going to be comparing the roll-formed high-strength steel bed of the Chevy Silverado to the aluminum bed of this competitor's truck.
Awesome. All right, let him drop.
Let's see how the aluminum bed of this truck held up.
Oh, that's a good size puncture.
That's all the way through for sure.
Full on crack here.
If you're aluminum now, you're gonna go, ooh.
Let's check out the Silverado steel bed.
Wow.
Yeah, a couple dents.
I'd expect more dents.
Chevy clearly held up better than the Ford.
How do you define success? By hitting a new high on the yield monitor? By turning tough acres into productive acres? However you define success, your local DuPont Pioneer team is there with the insights you need to achieve it. So let's take it row by row, acre by acre, season after season. Pioneer, with you from the word go.
Parasites will lose you more money than any other disease out there besides infertility. So, parasites is something that we have to control, and that's what VetGun does for us. It's tough out there on a ranch, but with the ease of the VetGun, it's a one-man operation, and whenever you can get one thing to work out great throughout that day, it just makes my life a little easier.
Recent medical studies have shown that the use of talcum powder can cause ovarian cancer. If you or a loved one were diagnosed with ovarian cancer after using talcum powder, call right now. You may be owed significant compensation from the manufacturer. Call right now to determine if you may qualify. If we don't win, there is no fee. There are time deadlines to file a claim, so don't wait.
Call 1-800-842-1969. Again, that's 1-800-842-1969.
Welcome back to U.S. Farm Report on the Marketing Roundtable. With me this week, I have Ted Seifert of Zaner Ag and Tommy Grisafi of Advanced Trading. Man, USDA hit us with a major report today, some big numbers. When we look at this corn yield, 175.1 bushels per acre. That makes it a 15.2 billion bushel corn crop. Do you think that's accurate, Ted?
I think the market is taking that number with a little bit of grain of salt. The way that the USDA calculates their August yield is by taking an ear count, which is not a kernel count. So they're not pulling cobs, they're just taking an ear count. And then they're applying their statistical analysis of the crop conditions, the 74% good to excellent. When you put that together, it comes up with a 175.1 national average yield. That's a huge number. However, I think the trade feels that when they get out into the fields and start actually pulling cobs and doing kernel counts, which will happen for the September report, that number could come down a bit. Pretty much everybody I've talked to today thinks that number will be coming down a bit. So, and I tend to agree with that. There's been some private surveys out there for some very reputable companies. One that I follow very, very closely came out with a 166. So there's still a lot of question marks on yield. I think the feel in the trade is that we might have just seen the largest yield estimate that we've seen. And if you go back to 14, you had that same sort of thing where the USDA got almost up to a 175 and then had to reverse themselves back down.
Tommy, and I guess that showed up in the market reaction, right? I mean, originally, whenever we were going into the report, we were down. After the report, we were down, but then we closed higher in this corn market.
Well, and you and I had talked, we did that video live, and you said, what do you think? I said, corn's only down 7, and it sounds weird to say only, right. But a number like that, in our experience, could have easily taken us limit down, would have brought us through multi-year lows, would have maybe given the funds a green light to sell more. And that's when I had asked you, Tyne, turn around your hat. Don't think like a producer. Start thinking like an end user. This is a chance to lock in multiple years of something for something. So we typically work with, I think more farmer marketing, but then we get that part 2 where you get the end user, the ethanol guy, this guy, that guy, and you're like, you know what? Do you realize what you could do here with this corn structure? So anyone touching corn's making money, but you have to buy the corn at $2.99 in the cash market. Most of the ag companies closed at record highs today, all the ag stocks across the board. So anyone taking corn, turning it into something, had a good day and is having a great year.
The glass half full approach, Ted, is, when we look at this, maybe we priced in the worst of it already. We got this big number. It hit the market hard, although we didn't close lower in corn, but it hit the market hard, and maybe we're going to hit these harvest lows early.
Yeah, it seems that we did that in 14, the last time we had a record crop, the 171 national average yield. We always have this tendency to try to factor in a bigger yield than what the reality is. More often than not, things are not as good as they seem or not as bad as they seem. This might be the same case here again this year, where we factor in a much bigger yield than what the reality is, and then when we come back down to reality, we have a reaction higher.
we did wipe out a key support in September corn, but then we were able to rally back. What does that tell you? What is that a sign of, Tommy?
It'd be easier to answer that question a week from now. So it could be a start of something, but you still have to. We're grateful the market closed higher, but you still have to realize what a low price we are. And so there's no need to get excited as if producers are making money at these levels. If they've done nothing year to date, they're losing, less after a day like that. It'll be interesting. I tend to think small as a small trader and then helping people market. You forget when these funds come in here, they don't buy 5 or 10 corn or hedge 100,000 bushels for someone. They're moving 2 million, 5 million, 10 million, 20 million bushels at a crack. And so when they get in the pool and start swimming, makes a big splash. And so it would be nothing for corn to rally and then maybe later in the year go back down. It has room to trade now, and that's what we talked about. Let's get the worst out of the way. Let's trade this market. Now we can start moving again.
Did we see a similar reaction in wheat?
Wheat had a nice close, and it seems like wheat might have made a low when it looked the worst. When all the articles out in the news and press were, look at these huge piles of wheat, that was the low print in wheat, possibly.
Soybeans yield, they pegged the yield at 48.9. Yep. We're looking at just over a 4 billion bushel crop. I mean, a huge crop out there.
Big.
Do you think USDA should have raised yield this soon, considering we are seeing these good crop condition ratings?
Yeah, I mean, and that was pretty much just based on the crop condition ratings. I think it was maybe a little early to be that aggressive on soybean yield, but that's what the USDA wants to give us. The impressive part about that is what was done on demand. You look, especially old crop, you look at the sales that we've been having on a daily basis for the last 2 weeks. We had massive export sales on a weekly number that we saw on Thursday. So when you look at this big soybean crop, just shy of a 49 national average yield, over 4 billion bushel production, yet only a 330 million bushel carryover for next year. That's still a relatively tight number. Stocks to usage number on that's going to be really tight. So, I don't think that yield number, if it stands, I don't think that justifies sub $9 beans at this point, because you just don't have, you've got the demand to absorb it. And if that yield number were to come down, well, then there's a different issue. I mean, then things get really tight. Now, whether the demand is really there or not, I don't know. I mean, we've certainly seen a lot of that recently, and whether that keeps up is a good question. But that soybean demand at the moment really feels quite strong.
All right, is there more risk in corn or soybeans at this point when we look at the numbers that we got from USDA? We're going to talk about that when we come back on U.S. Farm Report.
Once you cut a tree down, what do you do about the stump? Grind it down with a DR Stump Grinder, the fast, easy, and affordable solution for stump removal. Thanks to the power of a world-class engine and carbide-tipped cutting teeth, the DR Stump Grinder tackles any size stump. With each pass, these teeth quickly shave the stump down, taking a remarkable 360 bites per second. In no time, the stump is completely gone. All that's left behind is a pile of wood chips. Get behind the power of a DR Stump Grinder to rid your property of tree stumps forever.
Call 1-800-505-6081 for your free buyer's guide and DVD. Learn how you can try a DR Stump Grinder for 1 year. With our special financing plan, you can own a DR by making low monthly payments. Plus, get free shipping if you call now. 1-800-505-6081. Online at drstumpgrinder.com.
Are you living with slow internet at home? Or maybe no internet at all? Then you need HughesNet Gen 4, high-speed satellite internet. Whether you live out of town or way out of town, HughesNet is available wherever you call home. So you can live where you love and enjoy a great internet connection too. HughesNet features smart technologies to make your online experience better than ever. So go ahead, shop for deals. Learn new things. Share little moments. And stay in touch. Connect to what matters most with HughesNet.
Right now's the perfect time to finally get high-speed internet where you live. HughesNet, America's #1 choice for satellite internet. Call now. For a limited time, standard installation is free. For special offers only in your area, text FAST to 99000.
Welcome back. All right, Tommy, we were talking about soybeans. What's your take right now when we look at the soybean yield, we look at these export numbers? What does the soybean market look like moving forward?
A totally different story than corn and wheat. And so as when you watch your markets, depending on how you watch structure of the markets or how you watch tickets, if you watch it, it's really hard to watch your soybean ticket go up like it does every day and then see corn and wheat make new lows. But, to Ted's point earlier on the show, this is a different, we grow 4 billion bushels of beans. We've sold half of them to China, or are going to sell half of them. We have over 2.5 billion bushels of just extra corn. And so it's a lot easier to put a $9, $10 bean on a boat than $3 cash corn. If I was going to buy something, I'd buy a $9 item and ship it over, take that protein and make other protein. The world is asking for our beans. They were asking for them in the spring. People like ourselves are calling farmers saying, is there any way you could plant more beans? I think you can make a profit doing it. And it's like the mentality of the farmer loves to trade corn. They love the story, but we have too much corn. And that has nothing to do with beans. If beans want to go to 11, 12, a South American problem, there's no reason beans can't go up. Funds jump back in, and then we'll have corn sitting there watching, trying to go up, but we're always going to have this problem for a while that we have a little too much corn, unless they change the number from 175, 173, 171, demand picks up, and then you could see late a nice pop in corn.
When you look at these price discrepancies, do you think there's more risk right now in corn or beans?
That's a very tough question because I would tend to want to say corn. However, like we talked about earlier, you wonder if we just saw the biggest yield number out there, and you wonder if where we stand in corn today, how much downside do we really have? I know there's been a lot of talk about $2.80 corn, but if we were going to do that, we should be on our way, well on our way right now. After the report we had today, yet we closed higher on the day. So, and not saying that this higher close on a report day necessarily means the bottom's in for corn and we're going to go straight higher. This was a buy the rumor, sell the facts sort of thing. We could be under pressure again next week, and maybe should be. But I think the downside in corn at this point is fairly limited. The downside in soybeans, if that demand number stays true, I think is fairly limited. But if that demand starts to fall apart in soybeans, then you've got more risk in soybeans.
So for those that are saying that the fact that we closed higher on corn means that this bear market's over, is that a little premature to say that?
It's premature to say that. It's not necessarily untrue, but it's premature to say that, yeah.
All right, what do you think? More risk in corn or beans, Tommy?
Whenever I think of risk, I try to take my ego out of it and I look at the options market at the Board of Trade. Like, aren't those guys the ultimate risk takers? They'll let you buy it, sell it at any price. So the one thing I can see in corn is it's cheap to insure, downside or upside. I mean, the fact, I went to buy a call for someone the other day. I thought I was going to buy him a 360 call, and I go, hold on, you could buy a 350. Hold on, you could buy a 340, because they're so affordable.
Oh.
And so I look at myself as like an insurance salesman, and I can sell you insurance for this, insurance for that. It's really cheap right now. There was a point in the year where when those beans were going up 50 cents a day, to insure beans to the upside or downside was very expensive. And I looked at the bean market today, and they're still, a put's still worth a lot of money. So someone thinks beans could drop 50 cents a dollar like that. Whether or not it does, I don't know. But the fact you can insure corn for as cheap as you can, whether you need to buy it or sell it, is appealing right now. Let's hope you insure a little. The market rallies. That'd be a great problem to have.
Well, the market seemed like a surprise. Our into the day on Friday seemed like a surprise, but what are your key takeaways from this latest USDA report, Ted?
Well, again, I look at the yield numbers that we saw today, and you have to wonder if maybe these are the highest numbers that we're going to see. And I looked back at 14, which was the last time we set record yields for corn, and just for beans we beat it in the following year. But I wonder if we're going to have similar trade to what we saw in 14, where we really put a lot of pressure into the market going into harvest or getting near harvest. But then once we start getting into harvest, realize that maybe it's not quite as good as it seems. And in 14, we rallied from 318 to just shy of 415. So we had a 95-cent rally. I don't know if we're going to have that same sort of rally because we don't have the funds quite as short. But I do think you're going to have an early harvest or maybe a pre-harvest bounce here in these markets. It could be heavy for another month or so, but I'm looking for that bounce to make some sales.
Your key takeaways from Friday, Tommy?
Well, It's impressive how the market digested those numbers. What's still disappointing is that the American farmer held on to cash corn for a little too long. So whatever message was put out there through whatever reason, it's hard to tell. It's a big market. There's hundreds of thousands of farmers. But we had a second mini harvest just this last few weeks. You saw the basis widen out. You saw markets make new lows. That's the grain the farmer was holding to get ready for this big crop.
All right, well, we're going to get your closing thoughts. So much that we talked about today. We'll get your closing thoughts, and I'm going to have you hit on cattle and markets now, Ted. So we'll do that when we come back.
Receive a free trial of the Daily Market Letter and gain knowledge about current market conditions from the professionals at Bauer Trading. View the markets like never before. Go to BauerTrading.com.
Join Drovers and Dr. Dan Thompson for our 3rd annual Feedlot Cowboy College on September 7th and 8th in Dodge City, Kansas. This 2-day seminar, led by respected and knowledgeable industry experts, is filled with timely information for feedlot operators. Topics include animal health, low-stress animal handling, technology, and how to improve animal welfare. Attendance will also qualify you as BQA certified. For more information, visit droverscowboycollege.com.
The IRS garnished my paycheck.
We owed the IRS $30,000.
The IRS will stop at nothing to collect the money you owe. They will levy your paycheck, seize your assets, and can even put you in jail.
We were afraid and didn't know what to do, so we called Tax Help Today, and they got us help.
My wage garnishment was lifted, and now I can pay my rent.
Call Tax Help today at 800-908-4885 for a free consultation. That number is 800-908-4885 for Tax Help.
How can I help you today?
Yeah, I need to file a claim. My central air stopped working and needs to be replaced.
Oh, sorry, your homeowner's insurance doesn't cover air conditioners.
So what do you cover?
Well, home damage from things like earthquakes, volcanoes, a zombie apocalypse.
Zombie apocalypse.
Covered.
But not my air conditioner.
But his air conditioner would have been covered with a home warranty from American Home Shield, plus major components of 20 other home systems and appliances, like his electrical system, plumbing, oven, refrigerator, washer, water heater, and more. Homeowners insurance can cover what might happen.
Zombies are coming!
But a home warranty from award-winning American Home Shield helps cover what will happen.
Now the dryer won't work.
Life happens. Have a plan. Get a home warranty from American Home Shield. For valuable free information, call 1-800-944-5279.
All right, markets now. Ted Seifert, start with you.
Yeah, I look at this report that we had on Friday. It was a initial negative reaction to some very shocking numbers. Like Tommy, I was surprised we weren't down more than we were, and we ended up having a very nice close. I think it's too early to say, hey, the lows are in. But I think that sets the stage for something like that. Maybe we've gotten the biggest numbers out of the way now.
All right. Maybe you're right. Tommy?
I'm always amazed when you go out and meet with growers and they show you their nice equipment, their good land, the best seed they bought, and then they plant that seed, and then they always end up shocked when they have this crop. I'm more of the mentality now. I'm a technology bull. I believe that you're using the best equipment on the best land, planting the best seed. Don't be shocked every year when you end up with a record crop. If you don't have the crop, that's why you have crop insurance, and there's tools out there you can use to help get these highs and lows and make things a little smoother in your farm operation.
Technically, Ted, what do you think on cattle?
Yeah, I'm a little worried in cattle right now. We had a very hard time breaking up over key resistance in October cattle. It starts to look like we might be rolling over with cash trading unchanged. Okay. It makes me a little nervous.
All right. Thank you both for being here on this report day, taking out the time. We appreciate it. Stay with us. John Phipps joins us next.
So we're a moderate-sized family farm here in Sharpsville, Indiana. We do a lot of corn and soybean growing, and we've grown seed for a good little while as well. And that's what exposed us to the Liberty Link beans at the very first. We have some mare's tail that's really challenging to us. It's been a wet season, it's been a challenging season. Timeliness has been really hard to be on, and mare's tail is one of our worst ones. And it easily can be 3, 4, 5 bushels the acre pretty quickly if you can't control your early weeds.
I think weed control early really helps set the stage to have a good bean crop. Last year we had some beans that were in the upper 60s, even had some beans that were in the 70s as well. So we've been very pleased with them the past few years.
Oh, we're very satisfied. I'm glad that we were able to try it. I'm glad that we've been in these 7 or 8 years. That it's a very solid product and it's performed very well for us.
Are you paying too much for your cable or satellite TV? The U.S. government passed a bill mandating free over-the-air digital transmission of all broadcast network television channels. That means with the new TV Freeway digital antenna, you can get free HD programming from your favorite broadcast networks 24/7 without a bill. You just plug it into the back of your TV and start watching all of your favorite broadcast programs for free. There are no contracts to sign, no hidden fees, and no monthly fees. Just free HD broadcast TV. Take it with you anywhere. Call or go online now to get your TV Freeway stick for the incredibly low price of only $14.99. But wait, call or click now and you can get a second TV Freeway stick for a second TV. Just pay a separate fee, but you have to order right now.
Call 1-800-316-1198 to get your TV Freeway. Call now or go to tvfreeway.com. So call 1-800-316-1198. Call now.
John took a big step this week when it comes to his home phone, but it may be a glimpse into a larger trend. He explains in this weekend's John's World.
Well, after talking about it for a couple of years, we finally dropped our landline. Like many of you, Jan and I were looking for some budget savings, so we started noticing how much and with whom we used our house phone. The answers were very little and robocalls. It also didn't help that our service has been getting a lot worse over the last few years with frequent outages and lots of line noise. In fact, our cell phone's more reliable. But perhaps the tipping factor was discovering our cell phones could use our Wi-Fi systems to make calls. This is a big deal because we don't have great cell coverage to begin with, and inside metal buildings like this, cell phones are virtually worthless. We do have very good internet, so once our local Wi-Fi systems were set up, all we have to do is enable Wi-Fi calling on our phones. Unfortunately for Jan, it takes a 5S or better iPhone to do so. It will also require a later version Android phone as well, but you're probably drooling for an upgrade anyway. So it's goodbye to some familiar fixtures around our home and scattered on furniture, and goodbye as well to a $40 per month bill. We'd even been using corded phones, which are children and grandchildren considered positively antediluvian, so I won't miss those aren't old people cute smiles anymore. So the next challenge could be a little tougher. We're monitoring our TV usage to see if we can lose our satellite service. Could be easier for us than most because I'm not into sports, although that too is becoming more available on streaming services. That would be a big savings because spending over $150 a month to watch a handful of TV shows that we could probably wait to watch on Netflix, Hulu, or Amazon Prime isn't something that's easy to justify with $3 corn. These two cost-cutting measures reinforce one other thing for me. The future of communications, especially for farms and rural residents, is about good internet service. While it's no longer capitalized, the internet has never been more important.
John, welcome to 2016. Well, still to come, a viral call for change is shaking up the cherry industry. We'll show you why next on U.S. Farm Report.
U.S. Farm Report is produced and distributed by Farm Journal Broadcast. From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is U.S. Farm Report.
Welcome back to U.S. Farm Report this weekend. We have much more ahead over the next 30 minutes. It's a battle over trade and marketing orders causing a shakeup in cherry country. That's our Farm Journal report. If you're frustrated with market analysts who said you should have sold your crop months ago, you'll want to watch John's customer support. And to celebrate the Olympics, we're off to an historic gym that was the home to the first Olympic basketball team. Now for the headlines. Farmers and ranchers are still feeling the pinch from tighter margins, taking more time to repay loans. But falling cash rents could help ease some of the pressure across farm country. 3 major Federal Reserve branches releasing their latest ag credit survey this week. Farm income and farmland values remain under pressure, with ag credit conditions deteriorating even further. Starting off with the St. Louis Fed officials, they say while quality farmland values dropped 6.4% in the first quarter, those same values only fell 0.7% this past quarter. Ranch land is down nearly 7.5%, but cropland cash rents, those crashed, down 10% just in the second quarter. And cash rents for pasture and ranch land, those are down nearly 21%. One banker says farmers in the region are surviving the decline in commodity prices due to conservative spending, improved efficiency, and good crop yields. Now, meanwhile, the Kansas City Fed Ag Survey showing 75% of bankers report farm income falling from last year at this time. That also means demand for farm loans and loan renewals, that's increasing, while loan repayment is becoming tougher. As for farmland, cropland values declined 3% for non-irrigated and 5% for irrigated. Ranchland is down 3% in that area. And in Chicago, which covers the 3 I-states plus Michigan and Wisconsin, that shows farmland falling 1% from a year ago, but good quality land, it actually increased 1% from the first quarter to the second quarter. Now looking by state, Iowa is down 6% from a year ago, but Wisconsin, that state climbed 7% from last year.
The overall pulse is, still kind of on the downward side, but it seems like maybe in the Midwest states that we cover here, including Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Wisconsin, and Michigan, that maybe there was a little bit slower drop in land values this year, and then the bump up in corn and soybean prices, in the second quarter helped to kind of give a little better feel, but at the same time, not a dramatic change in the circumstances.
But bankers in the area noting loan repayments are slower and loan demand, that's significantly higher. If we do see a La Nina this year, it may be a weak one. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration saying this week that more signs pointing to La Nina arriving this fall, with a 55 to 60% chance it does arrive this year. NOAA says those same models suggest if we do see a La Nina, it will be a weaker event. All right, that's it for the news. Meteorologist Mike Hoffman joins us now with the national forecast. Mike, NOAA thinks if we do see a La Nina, it will be a weak one. What do you think?
Thanks, Tyne. That is absolutely what it's looking like. It's looking like just barely a weak La Nina as we head into the fall, and that changes things fairly dramatically across the Corn Belt. It looks like some cooler air could start to sneak in. We'll show you that in the 30-day outlook. In the meantime, this week, still hot across most of the country, but the northern tier of states, each one of these little ripples will bring a chance for a thunderstorm as well as some cooler air behind it. And this is a decent little trough, and that's bringing in the cooler air to the northwest as we head through the end of the week, and that will spread farther east into the northern plains and eventually the Great Lakes as we head into this coming weekend. All right, let's take a look at the 30-day outlook. I'm going below normal now from about Kansas City northward to the Canadian border into southern Canada. The southeast, eastern seaboard still above normal, and above normal west of the Continental Divide. Precipitation, a large area of above normal. The east coast, southeast, that could be some great news. Most of the plains into the southwest, only below normal area I'm showing is in the far northwestern portions of the country. Time?
Thanks, Mike. Well, you've heard the saying, a picture's worth 1,000 words. A viral call for change is putting the tart industry in the spotlight. You may have seen this picture posted online by Traverse City, Michigan tart cherry grower. He posted a picture of some of his cherries being dumped, blaming it on the industry's marketing order and imports. But there's 2 sides to every story. In this Farm Journal report, Betsy Gibbon shows us why some growers fear this call for change may actually be closing the door on trust.
This is what's left of the tart cherry crop Michigan grower Mark Santucci dumped.
There's probably about 1,000 pounds here at one point in time.
What was a massive pile, now just a thin layer of red. But the impact of his online post is still shaking the industry.
If you really think through everything that's going on, I believe people would come to the same conclusion.
Not every producer is pleased with the attention.
It has created a mistrust amongst consumers about the tart cherry industry. I'm a grower myself. I want to be able to harvest everything that I grow. But I also look at the long-term health of the industry and the viability of the industry.
It's a disagreement centering around the industry's rules for the crop. Tart cherry growers have their own federal marketing order made up of their own producers.
So that we don't pack an extreme amount of inventory one year and depress market prices the next year. We know what the supply has been for the past 20 years. We know what the demand has been for the past 20 years.
That's why the processor is unable to accept all of the grower's crop under the order during years when yield or production increases. This season is one of those times. USDA says production jumped nearly 40% this year.
And I understand that we cannot pack an excess 100 million pounds of fruit in 2016 when we know in 2017 we can only sell 250 million pounds.
Growers don't have to dispose the crop every year. Santucci says this is the first year he's dumped his crop since 2009.
I think they were sold on this marketing order as being the panacea that I don't think it is.
Santucci says it's not just U.S. production rules that bother him.
And when I learned that 40% of our consumption was imported cherries, and we were dumping cherries on the ground to try to prop up the price of cherries, I felt like we're the little boy in Holland putting our finger in the dike, because if you don't control the whole market, you don't control any of the market.
Santucci says the industry should focus on the domestic market first, since the United States already has to restrict inventory.
We have to sell our cherries at a price that's going to keep the imports out. And initially, and maybe for a few years, that might be a lower price than what we're selling at now, but we'll be selling more cherries and we'll be sending a message overseas.
And he's no stranger to global trade. He was once an economist for the Office of the United States Trade Representative.
If the Turks are able to provide a percentage of our demand at a competitive price, I believe I have to live with that, and I'm willing to live with that.
But we have to look at some of the factors that are behind those imports. Those are extremely low cost, government supported imports that are coming into the industrial market. And if we were to go and try to compete against those imports on price, there would be nothing left over for the farmer. There would be no margin left over for the farmer.
LaCrosse says that would be worse for farmers than having to dump once in a while. He recognizes the import situation needs to be addressed.
Our industry's really just started to get our heads around the import problem in the last 12 months. And I'm very confident that we can make an impact on the import situation.
In an industry that includes lifelong farmers.
Some of my first memories were helping my parents shake and harvest their fruit.
And new producers finding their way in.
I can't call myself a farmer in the sense of spending my life in the dirt, but I can consider myself a farmer now.
Both agree more discussion is needed, a process already underway thanks to the spoils of a bumper year. Reporting for U.S. Farm Report, I'm Betsy Gibbon.
Thanks so much, Betsy. Well, up next, John Phipps.
Why didn't we sell? Now that's a 40-year question.
What's the best way to protect your home and family when storms and winds knock out your electricity? The answer is a home standby generator from Generac. It automatically supplies power to your home within seconds of a power outage. To get our best deal ever, go to Generac.com and download this certificate worth $995. Use it when you purchase a Generac home standby generator to get our 10-year ultimate warranty for free. That's a $995 value free, but you must claim your certificate now. Go to Generac.com or call 1-800-394-1563.
It's one of the best investments I've ever made in this house.
It gives you security, it's reliable.
That gives you that feeling of security that, to me, is priceless.
Claim your $995 certificate now at Generac.com.
Let's face it, you don't think a lot about your trailer hitch. You use it and forget it. We understand. But at B&W, we think about it. Short nights, long hauls, never-ending chores. The unthinkable. We think about it all. so you don't have to. B&W. Trusted.
Hi, I'm Joan London. When I needed to find senior care for my mom, I really struggled to find the right fit. That's why I recommend A Place for Mom, the nation's largest senior living referral service. They have advisors that can help you find the right senior care at no cost to you. There's a place for answers, A Place for Mom.
If you're struggling to find reliable senior living information for your mom or dad, then call to get the free help you need during this turbulent time. 800-243-0190.
Welcome back. It's been a roller coaster year for prices, and some viewers are frustrated with marketing advice. John explains in customer support.
Your call is very important to us. Please hold.
We received this timely email from Joe Platts. Today I was listening to a market analysis at FarmFest, and all he could talk about is how bad the markets are and how we should have sold earlier in the year when prices were good. The thing that burns me is that I don't think these analysts realize that 20 cents higher could mean paying down a loan or fixing some 30-year-old machinery. My point is that these analysts are now saying that we should have sold more earlier. Then why didn't they shout out sell? Or were they hoping for the next move up as well? Joe, when I read this, I have the same feeling, but your comment prompted me to check back and see what our analysts were saying. First, take a look at these price charts. And because of them, I picked the shows from the first 3 weeks of June. And here's what I found that our analysts were saying on markets now.
We are at levels that probably need to have some form of sales with calls bought against it or some form of a put underneath it for a floor. You can't not do anything here at these price levels because there is downside risk.
You cannot be complacent here. And so it's not a time to be sitting around. Absolutely, if you're not looking at putting a floor in under this stuff or making some type of cash sales, you need to be looking at that now.
You're between a rock and a hard place when it comes to marketing. And I would just sell and not look back on what you're comfortable selling, because this is a 2-year high for corn prices.
Now, my point is not to rub salt in an open wound, because I'm there with you, but rather that there's a gap between hearing advice and taking it. I also think that the fact that even $4.50 corn was barely enough to meet our costs this year, so we may have been extra reluctant to pull the trigger. But I don't think we have reason to say that nobody was telling us, sell now.
Thanks, John. Well, up next, we'll meet an Olympic basketball team that defied the odds during the Great Depression. American Countryside is next.
The desire to bring real-world solutions to growers' difficult production challenges has led Bayer to introduce Credenz, our national brand of soybean seed, backed by years of research in smart genetics. Smart genetics is based on 4 concepts. State-of-the-art breeding allows Bayer to identify key traits and characteristics that bring value and protection to your soybean production situation. Next is herbicide-tolerant traits. The flexibility of multiple trait platforms allows growers to pick the most effective weed control system for their farm. Next is tailored varieties. With a robust portfolio, Credenz offers many solutions for difficult situations that you may experience, along with our best-in-class agronomic service team to support variety selection. And last is ongoing innovation. Bayer is continuing to invest in ways to improve yields and increase the profitability on your farm.
The new DR trimmer mowers are here, and they're better than ever. The walk-behind DRs feature world-class engines and easy rolling wheels that let you trim along buildings, decks, and fence lines, mow tall grass and waist-high weeds without tangling, even cut brush up to 3 inches thick with optional cutting attachments. And now there's a full line of tow-behind DR trimmer mowers. Choose from models customized for riding mowers, ATVs, or compact tractors. So turn to DR and get the job done right.
Call 1-800-409-1854 for your free buyer's guide and DVD. We'll include a limited time offer to try a DR at home for a full year. Free shipping is now in effect, and payments start as low as $25 a month. Hurry, this offer won't last. 1-800-409-1854. Online at drtrimmer.com.
DR is professional power done right.
If you haven't been watching the Olympics, you're missing out, including seeing the U.S. men's basketball team in action. But it's been 80 years since the U.S. put together its first Olympic basketball team, a start with an even more impressive finish. Andrew McCrae takes us to the team's birthplace in this week's American Countryside.
Today, few realize the important history behind this gym in downtown McPherson, Kansas, and it's tied to the 1936 Olympic Games. But Rich Hughes knows it well.
The U.S. Olympic team was composed of a town team from McPherson, Kansas. We're here at the court where they played.
The old gym still holds much of the charm of decades ago. This balcony once held hundreds of spectators who came here to watch their hometown team.
Yeah, this is how it had been in 1934, 1935, 1936.
In the 1920s and 30s, businesses might sponsor a team to publicize their products and services. In McPherson, it was the Globe Refiners, coached by Gene Johnson, considered by many to be the father of modern basketball. He developed the zone press, fast break, and dunking the basketball. McPherson's players worked at the refinery for $4 per day. While they loved the game, they were also glad to simply have a job during the Depression. 1936 was the first year for basketball in the Olympics. An 8-team single-elimination tournament was held in Madison Square Garden to select the players. The New York sports writers had never seen a team throw down the ball like the team from McPherson.
The McPherson players came down, threw the ball down through the hoop, what we know now as a dunk. And that Arthur Daly, he had a Hall of Fame career as a sports writer. He was just starting out with the New York Times, and he wrote that they would shoot the ball much like a patron would dunk their donut into their coffee. And so
that's where it came from.
That's where it came from.
All but one player on the 1936 Olympic team was from the two finalists in New York, the McPherson Refiners and the Universal Studios team.
This is pictured on the SS Manhattan on the way over.
While the players had earned the right to compete, they had to get themselves to the ship that would take them to Europe. Times were difficult for most Americans in 1936. The McPherson team was told there would not be jobs waiting for them if they went to the Olympics.
And Vernon Vaughn, who had a new addition to his family and wanted to stay in the refinery business, he was the sixth man for McPherson, and he gave up his chance at the Olympics and ultimately a gold medal by staying back in McPherson.
Meanwhile, Universal Studios did not want to support the Nazis by sending players to the Olympics. Their players also lost their jobs for sailing to Berlin, but they later found work at Fox Studios. When the team arrived in Germany, they learned that only 7 players could suit up to play in any one game. So the McPherson players and those from Universal Studios remained as a unit and simply alternated playing each game. The basketball organizers in Germany also had different ideas on how the game should be played. If a player was substituted, they could not return. The games were played outdoors on a clay tennis court. Wind affected shots, and even worse was the weather for the final game.
In the first gold medal game, Canada versus the U.S., it was played in a driving rainstorm. So that presented plenty of problems, and the final score was only U.S. 19, Canada 8. But it could be explained because they were playing in a mud pit.
The U.S. won the first Olympic basketball gold, but Germany quickly urged rule changes to the game.
They also wanted to have a rule change. It was the 1.9 meter rule, or for us in the U.S., the 6'2" rule, where everybody over 6'2" would be prohibited from playing in the Olympics.
While this gym may be a far cry from today's NBA arenas, it was the home gym for America's first Olympic basketball team, a team that went to Germany and brought home the gold. Traveling the countryside in McPherson, Kansas, I'm Andrew McCrae.
When we come back, Machinery Pete has this week's Tractor Tales.
This is an important medical announcement regarding the prescription blood thinner Xarelto. If you or a loved one has been hospitalized or died from serious internal bleeding, including bleeding of the brain or gastrointestinal system after taking Xarelto, you may be entitled to substantial compensation. Time may be limited to file a claim, so don't delay. Call Xarelto Relief Line now. Our network of experienced attorneys is ready to fight for you. The prescription blood thinner medication Xarelto has been linked to an increased risk of severe internal bleeding, hemorrhaging, stroke, heart attack, and even death. If you or a loved one experience severe internal bleeding, or if a loved one died as a result of taking Xarelto, call Xarelto Relief Line now. Our network of experienced attorneys is ready to fight for you. You won't pay a thing until your case is settled. Call Zerelto Relief Line today for a free case evaluation.
Please call 800-970-0580. That is 800-970-0580.
How can I help you today?
Yeah, I need to file a claim. My central air stopped working and needs to be replaced.
Oh, sorry, your homeowner's insurance doesn't cover air conditioners.
So what do you cover?
Well, home damage from things like earthquakes, volcanoes, a zombie apocalypse.
Zombie apocalypse.
Covered.
But not my air conditioner.
But his air conditioner would have been covered with a home warranty from American Home Shield, plus major components of 20 other home systems and appliances, like his electrical system, plumbing, oven, refrigerator, washer, water heater, and more. Homeowners insurance can cover what might happen.
Zombies are coming!
But a home warranty from award-winning American Home Shield helps cover what will happen.
Now the dryer won't work.
Life happens. Have a plan. Get a home warranty from American Home Shield. For valuable free information, call 1-800-944-5279.
Time now for Tractor Tales with Machinery Pete, the most trusted name in farm equipment.
Welcome back to Tractor Tales, folks. This week we are in sunny southern Georgia, and we're here visiting a collector who has green blood, loves John Deere tractors, but he has a soft spot for the occasional Ford.
The 501 Ford Workmaster I bought down in Moultrie, and it was all two pieces. Somebody had started rebuilding the motor and it tore up. And so the man that was rebuilding it just carried it and had it sold, and I bought it in just pieces and put it back together and brought it home and painted it and fixed it like this, drove it down the driveway, and the motor come and tore up again where they half patched it, and so we got to rebuild the motor twice. But it was not tall like this when I bought it, and I bought a Ferguson, had these taller wheels on it for just parts, and the Ferguson Ford has the same type rims on the back, and so then your front axle, you can flip it and get the height like that. So that's the way I come up with making it the high crop. Well, it's not original, but they did build one just like it. It's a good tractor, runs good and drives good. It's a little hard to get on. I need to put me a step on it. It's kind of hard to get up on it. I've done everything on it other than paint the fenders and the hood on it, and I let a body shop do that for me. But far as mechanical, rebuilding the motor and painting everything on the bottom part, I do it. Most time they grow like produce, anything that's taller. That most of your high crop tractors come from down around Florida and stuff where they grow sugar cane and stuff like that. Right in this area, we did not farm with high crop tractors. There's not many one-row Ford tractors around in this area. I don't know if nobody else had one.
Thanks so much for that, Tractor Tales. Well, today's Country Church salute goes to the Bethel Community Church just northwest of Topeka, Kansas. The congregation will celebrate their 100th anniversary in October. Their first church was built in 1916, but it did burn, and the present church is the rebuilt church with add-ons. They say the celebration is about remembering the past, celebrating the present, and looking to the future. Our thanks to Harold and Betty Weller for sharing their story. Well, don't go anywhere. We have some drought and some rain to cover in viewer photos next.
This is Machinery Pete, inviting you to check out my new website, machinerypete.com. Offering farmers tens of thousands of used equipment listings to search, let Machinery Pete help you find and value your next piece of used equipment.
Welcome. Hi. Today we're going to be comparing the roll-formed high-strength steel bed of the Chevy Silverado to the aluminum bed of this competitor's truck. We're going to grab that empty toolbox for me. Let's start here with the aluminum bed.
That's a big hole. Huge. We got Swiss cheese for a truck here. I'm curious to see if that will do the same thing with the Chevy.
Well, let's find out. Same spot, same angle, same empty toolbox.
Took it way better. The steel held up.
Silverado proved it is the toughest truck here.
How do you define success? By hitting a new high on the yield monitor? By turning tough acres into productive acres? However you define success, your local DuPont Pioneer team is there with the insights you need to achieve it. So let's take it row by row, acre by acre, season after season. Pioneer, with you from the word go.
Are you living with slow internet at home? Or maybe no internet at all?
Then you need HughesNet Gen 4, high-speed satellite internet. Whether you live out of town or way out of town, HughesNet is available wherever you call home. So you can live where you love and enjoy a great internet connection too. HughesNet features smart technologies to make your online experience better than ever. So go ahead, shop for deals. Learn new things. Share little moments. And stay in touch. Connect to what matters most with HughesNet.
Right now's the perfect time to finally get high-speed internet where you live. HughesNet, America's #1 choice for satellite internet. Call now. For a limited time, standard installation is free. For special offers only in your area, text FAST to 99000.
Welcome back. Well, Mike, we have a mix of rain and sun in this week's crop photos. Jeremy said he's out spraying this week. That's one of the cotton fields that he had to replant in Texas. He says if they can get some rain this weekend, the crop could be average. The crop had to be replanted and that crop looks good, but the earlier planted cotton, he says that's really hurting from all those 100-degree days they've been seeing.
Oh, yeah. And from too dry to too wet, farmers in Minnesota are in a similar boat that Missouri growers were in last week.
Ugh.
They got pounded with rain. We've heard of reports anywhere from 8 to 13 inches of rain in one night. Alan tells us just north of Wilmar, his lawn and crops are underwater, as you can see here.
And Jeremy Kosak took some pictures in Renville County. That's just south of Allen. He took some of these pictures of the aftermath of crops underwater right now.
And Michael Morgan says the rain didn't make it to southeastern Wisconsin. He says they are about 7 inches behind on the rain for the year. You know, it always works out that way. Some areas get too much, others not so much. It'd be nice to even it all out.
Yeah, exactly. And rice harvest might get underway in Louisiana, and as you can see, it's exhausting for Luke. Bridget sent us these pictures. She says that Luke enjoyed his nap while his dad, Stephen, and Grandpa Roy were busy cutting rice. Apparently, this was taken the day before school, Mike. I don't blame him for sleeping while he can.
No, he had to get a little bit of sleep in there.
Absolutely. Well, if you have any pictures you'd like to share, you can send those to us. Just send those to mailbag@usfarmreport.com or do it on Facebook and Twitter. For all of us at U.S. Farm Report, thanks so much for watching. Be sure to join us again right here next week as we work to build on our tradition. Have a great weekend, everyone.
High-strength steel for high-strength dependability. Chevy Silverado, the official news-gathering vehicle of U.S. Farm Report. U.S. Farm Report is produced and distributed by Farm Journal Broadcast.